準時11:05就開始今日嘅 tutorial。OK？Okay, so for those that arrive, today we are going to do the cell UD analysis. Please download the learning journal template as well as the lecture slide from OLE. And we will start the tutorial at 11:05.嗱，咁我等多1分鐘到啦，就開始今日嘅 tutorial 啦。咁就大家可以 download 咗咧 journal template 咧，就望一望我哋嗰個今日個 requirement 先。OK。Well, it's now 11:05. Let's start the tutorial today. Today we are going to create a CLUD matrix. The matrix, the purpose of this matrix is for us to doing the CLUD analysis. So first of all, what is CLUD analysis? Okay, so let's review the slide from Oliver. Okay, so for the CLUD matrix, okay, so it consists of a table. Okay, so which has some columns and rows. Okay, for the columns, actually it will list out all the classes in your class diagram. In last week, you have already drawn the class diagram. For this exercise, you may simply, okay, so place those classes, okay, so on the columns. Okay, so for the rows here, okay, so are actually the use cases. In the earlier read, you have learned about how to write the use case description. The use case is about the some features, okay, some functions in high level. Okay, so that specify the user requirement. Okay. So the purpose of the CLUD, okay, so it's about to identify is there any, okay, so missing CLUD operation. Okay, CLUD means create, read, update, and delete. Okay, create, read, update, and delete. Okay, suppose for each class, okay, so it should have these 4 operations. Okay, normally should have these 4 operations, but not be but it's not a must. Okay, so in some situation, okay, some of the operations, okay, so may not be included. Okay, so for this example, you can see that okay, so in the cells, okay, so which are having some CLU, okay, operations here, indicating that okay, so this class, okay, so would have create, read, and update operation. Okay, so with the managed patient use case. Okay, so because Oliver has already introduced this example in your lecture, okay, so I won't repeat this example. So that I would like to show you another example. Okay, so that you can get more understanding about the CLUD. So here is an example class diagram. Okay, so up here. So that's the simplified class diagram, which consists of a borrow book subsystem of a library. Borrow book subsystem. Okay, so because it is simplified, okay, so it only consists of 3 classes. Okay, so the classes are the readers, books, and borrow record. So upon you go to a library to borrow a book, so you have to present your library card. So you should be a reader. Okay, so reader of the library. Okay, so and you would like to borrow a book. Okay, so there should be a book object here. Okay, so to record your borrowing. Okay, so there should be a borrow record. So record, okay, which reader borrow which book, right? So that's the relationship. Okay, so between these 3 classes. Okay, so for the CLUD matrix, we may simply put those classes in onto the columns. Okay, so of the CLUD matrix. Okay, so as the subsystem, okay, so it's about to borrow book. So obviously, we should have a borrow book use case. Okay, so a reader want to borrow a book, so that it would, okay, so read the reader detail, right? For example, when you present your library card, okay, so the system would, okay, retrieve the reader information. Okay, so when you, okay, so paste the book under the scanner, it will retrieve the book's information, okay, to check whether this book, okay, so can be borrowed out, okay, or this is a reference book, okay, so can be read only within the library. Okay, so it would also read the information of the book out, okay. So, so after checking the reader and the book, okay, so if the book can be borrowed out, then it would create a borrow record. Create a borrow record, for example, to record, okay, the reader ID and the book ID together with the borrow date. Okay, so as well as other necessary information. Okay, so okay, with borrow book, okay, so there should be a return book use case. Okay, return book use case. Okay, similarly, okay, so we have to retrieve to read, okay, the reader information, to read the book information. Okay, so and also need to read, okay, the borrow record. Okay, so because suppose when you borrow a book, you have already created a borrow record. Now we would retrieve the borrow record to see when did this book borrow out, and check whether this book is overdue. Okay, so and then eventually update the borrow record. Okay, now we have two use cases. Okay, so at the left hand side on the rows. So what is missing? Okay, so let's take a look on the cells. Okay, so for readers, it only has the read operation. Okay, so for borrow record, it only has CRU operation, create, read, and update. Okay, for books, it only has read operations. Okay, so that we know that for reader, borrow record, and book. Okay, so currently we have these operations applied to these classes. Okay, so that there are some missing operations. Okay, so for reader, okay, so it missed the C, U, and D operation. Okay, so for borrow record, it missed the D, okay, delete operation, and C, U, and D. Okay, so for the book, okay, are missing. Okay, so the CRUD matrix, okay, so is for you to identify. So is there any missing CRUD operation, so that you have to fill up, okay, so the missing use cases. Okay, so those missing use cases, okay, so supposedly should do the CRUD operation to, okay, so these classes. Okay, so obviously, okay, so for the reader, we should create a reader, okay, in advance, right? So that, okay, so we may create a use case called register reader, okay, register reader. Okay, so with the register reader use case would create a reader, okay, would create a reader. Okay, so and then we can also deregister a reader. Delete a reader. Okay, now we have C, we have D, we have R. Okay, so one more missing is the U. Okay, so we can also update the reader. Okay, so now at this moment, C, R, U, D, okay, so are completed for the reader class. Okay, similarly for the books, okay, so we can also create C, okay, so to register a book. Okay, so however, okay, so due to my design decision, I would like to also put U, okay, so within the register book use case, because I think that U, okay, so update books information would seldomly happen, right? Okay, so for a reader, okay, perhaps the reader may move to another home, so that he would update the address. Okay, perhaps update the phone number. Okay, so there are plenty of update operations. Okay, so maybe happen to a reader, right? So that I would like to, okay, so create a separate use case, okay, to update the information, update reader. However, for a book, okay, so I think that, okay, once a book arrives at the library, okay, so the librarian register a book, and okay, for example, to input the information of the book name, the author, the edition, the year. Okay, so this kind of factual information actually won't be updated anymore, right? So when the book arrives at the library, the librarian, okay, so once input this information, okay, so there is no need to update this factual information again. Okay, so because you won't change the book name, okay, unless, okay, you make a typo, right? So that I simply put the U, okay, so together with C, okay, so for register book. Okay, of course, this solely depend on your design decision. Okay, so if you don't agree with that, okay, so you may simply, okay, so create another use case to update book, okay, update the book information and separate, okay, so the U operation from this use case. Okay, so we can also deregister a book, okay, to delete a book. Okay, so for borrow book, we can also add the delete borrow record use case. So we are not about to fill up the CRUD matrix. The tasks we are going to do is about to do the CRUD analysis. We have to analyze to find that, okay, so are there any redundant operations? Okay, so for example, we can see that here are two R. Okay, so two duplicated operation to the reader. Okay, so however, for R, we seldom consider them as redundant or duplication, because actually for reading information, it won't affect the data integrity. Okay, so however, okay, so if you find that there are some C's, okay, to create, okay, the reader in different use cases. Okay, so you may, okay, so have to be careful. Okay, so why there are so many create operations? Okay, so suppose, okay, so we should create a reader, okay, solely using the register reader use case. Okay, not the others. If there are other use cases that will also create the reader, okay, so you have to check that whether these use cases are redundant, okay, so or duplicated. Okay, so and then you may just simply omit these use cases. Okay, so besides determine whether the use cases, okay, so can complete the CRUD operations for those classes. Okay, so we can also check whether, okay, so there are some redundant. Okay, so maybe as okay, so one of the discussion is that, okay, so that may be out of the scope of these. Okay, so this course, because Oliver didn't teach you about. Okay, so one of the further consideration on the in the system design. Okay, so but I would like to teach you something extra. Okay, so for example, so we may think that would the deletion affect the data integrity? Okay, so that's a reflection question I give you. So for the use cases here, so how many, which use cases would perform the deletion? Okay, so the register reader, okay, so it would delete the reader. The register book, it would delete a book. Okay, so and delete borrow record, it would delete the borrow record. So there are three delete operations to be happen. Okay, so in so this class diagram. Okay, so would the deletion affect the data integrity? Okay, so let's imagine that. Okay, suppose we have some objects. Okay, some data object instantiated from the classes. For example, we have a reader, okay, called Peter. Okay, so together with his name, address, phone number, etc., those kind of information for Peter. Okay, so with the reader number R10213. Okay, so and for the book, it has a book number, book name, author, year, edition, etc. Okay, so this kind of information. Okay, so when you borrow a book, so you may simply create a borrow record. Okay, so which consisting of the reader number and the book number, okay, book ID, okay, together with the borrow day, So whether the expect return date, etc. This kind of information. Okay, so can we simply delete the reader? Okay, using the deregister reader use case. So how do you think? Can we simply delete a reader? Okay, so let me look at the chat room. 我哋可唔可以就咁好單純咁樣 delete 咗個 reader 咧？究竟大家覺得可以定唔可以啊？ No, no, no. Okay, very good. No. Okay, so I see some answers from the so your peer classmates they say no. It depends on the point of view. Okay, so we cannot simply delete. Okay, so a reader. Okay, so due to the data integrity. Okay, so if you still remember, okay, so in your database courses, okay, so to do the deletion, okay, so actually we have to consider the data integrity. Okay, so if we simply delete the reader, okay, so but still keep the borrow record, what would be happened? Okay, so if we query, okay, so the borrow record, okay, so for example this record, okay, so actually this record, okay, so would have a reader number, okay, reader ID, okay, so that are associated with the reader object. Okay, so if Peter is deleted, so how could we associate, okay, so this borrow record to identify which reader, okay, so borrow this book. Okay, so that would result the referencing problem, okay, so of this record, because the borrow record, okay, so R10213, okay, so this reader ID, okay, is no longer exists in the system, okay, so in the database, so that it will result the referencing problem. Okay, so of course, okay, we can still delete the reader, but we have to do the cascading deletion. Okay, so once you delete this reader, okay, so the system should also delete the corresponding borrow record. Okay, so then it won't result the data integrity problem. Okay, so of course, okay, so unless today the storage is very pretty cheap and the DBMS is pretty powerful. Okay, so the query time is very short. Even the database size is pretty large. So that in general, okay, so we may want to just keep those records. Okay, so okay, so in the point of view of the designer, okay, so we may simply so keep this delete borrow record function. Okay, so because we delete the borrow record, it won't affect the data integrity of the reader and book, right? Okay, so because it just delete the reference, okay, so to the reader and book, okay, so in the borrow record data object. Okay, however, for the register record and the register book, okay, so we may consider to so delete them. Okay, so because these two use cases, okay, so may not be quite appropriate. Okay, so for the borrow book subsystem. Okay, so of course, okay, so that depends on the assumption. Okay, so of the system design. Okay, so and solely depend on the design decision. Okay, so that may still be needed. Okay, so if you think that I really need to delete a reader, okay, so I don't see them see her anymore. Okay, so for example, the readers it's like people in Hong Kong, we don't like her. Okay, so I would like to so delete her. Okay, so anymore. Okay. Okay, so that's the purpose of CRUD analysis. Okay, so you can do some analysis. Okay, so based on the given information. Okay, so on this CRUD matrix. For the exercise today, okay, so you are asked to create a CRUD matrix. Okay, so and then to do some analysis on it. In your earlier week, in the last week, okay, so you have already created a class diagram, okay, for a subsystem. Okay, so for this week, okay, so you may pick out the classes, okay, so in your class diagram, okay, so to construct the CRUD matrix like this one. Okay, so of course, okay, so your class diagram may have more classes. Okay, so then you may need to use better format to place that table in your learning journal. Okay, once you put the classes to the CRUD matrix, okay, so you may think about the CRUD operation together with the use cases, okay, at the left hand side. Okay, so you may have some idea about the preliminary selection of the use cases. Okay, so once you put down the CRUDs, okay, just like my example here. Okay, so okay, so at the beginning, you may have just a few use cases. Okay, so and then, okay, so you may see that, some of the CRUD operation, okay, so are not computed for the classes. Okay, so you may then, okay, so add back those missing use cases. Note that the naming conversion. Okay, so for those classes, you can see that, okay, so you should use none, okay, none to represent the class name. Okay, so for all these use cases, okay, use cases are about to specify the user wanted operations. Okay, so on the system, so that they should start with a verb, okay, together with a noun. Okay, verb together with a noun for the use case names. Okay, so that's the naming conversion. Okay, so you need to remember. OK 嗱，逢係所有嘅use case 咧，都係動詞加名詞噶啦。你之前寫過個 use case description 啦，或者睇過嗰啲 use case diagram 嗰啲 examples 咧，嗱咁你都會見到佢係動詞加名詞嘅嗰個名。OK， 因為我哋係形容緊一啲嘅 operation 啦，或者動作咧，嗰個 system 會 provide 嘅。OK， 嗱咁呢啲 classes 咧，其實 somehow 都係一啲 data object 嚟噶嘛。咁你就object 就名詞啦。OK， 得唔得？嗱咁就OK， so for each team, okay, so after you construct the CRUD matrix, okay, so you may also discuss with your teammate to identify is there any duplicated use cases. Okay, so over different team member. Okay, so because you are work on the different subsystem, right? Okay, so for each team, okay, the team members are work on different subsystem. Okay, if you work on different subsystem, there should be no duplication on the use cases. Okay, on the use cases. Okay, so you have to check again the use cases with your peer teammate. Okay, so to identify, okay, so is there any duplicated use cases? Okay, if so, you may some of which may the use case from some of the members may need to be removed. Okay, so to eliminate this redundancy. Okay, however, for the classes, okay, so because the classes are data objects, okay, so that can be appeared in different team the table of different team members. Okay, so in other words, okay, the classes can be duplicated. Okay, so over different CLUD matrix。得唔得？咁因為你哋嗰啲 use cases 咧係你之前分咗subsystem嚟做噶嘛，係咪？咁所以每一個subsystem做嘅嘢應該都係唔同噶嘛，所以就理論上就唔會有 duplicate 嘅，係咪啊？咁你譬如呢個係一個 borrow book 嘅 subsystem， 咁咪會有 borrow book 啊 return book 呢啲咯。咁你另外一個同學做另外一個 subsystem 嘅，咁譬如係管理自收室咁樣，咁嗰啲唔會牽涉到 borrow book return book 噶嘛，咁所以另外一個同學嗰啲就唔會有 borrow book return book 呢啲嘅 operation 啦。嗱，當然啦 ，reader 係咪啊 borrow record book 呢啲咧有機會咧可以大家係共用嘅。係咪啊？咁譬如你而家呢個 borrow book 嘅 subsystem 會有 reader 係咪啊？喂，管理自修室，喂，可能自修室你都要登記咗，可能你要 reader 卡先至用得某啲嘅設施喎，係咪啊？都會用到 reader 噶嘛。嗱，咁所以 classes 呢個咧係可以大家都會可以共用到嘅，得唔得？即係大家可以重複用嘅呢啲，但係左手邊呢個咧就喺你哋嗰個 matrix 度就唔好重複啦。Okay, so that's the meaning, okay, of the second paragraph. Okay, so how about the third paragraph here? Okay, so you have to check whether the CLUDs are complete. Okay, so for each class. Okay, so you have to check the CLUDs, whether they are complete. Okay, so, okay, if they are not complete, you have to specify the reason. Okay, so for example, okay, so actually for this one, okay, it is not complete. It only has C, R, and U. Okay, no D. Okay, so because I removed the D. Okay, so if this is the case, you have to explain why. Okay, for example, I would say that, due to the data integrity, so I would like to remove the delete. Okay, so we delete the use cases that perform deletion. Okay, okay, of course. Okay, so to simplify, to omit this complication, I think you may simply list out all the CLUDs. Okay, so instead of like me, okay, so to remove some of this because you have to explain why. 得唔得？嗱，咁你唔使好似我咁去諗咁多嘢去 delete 咗，即係唔要嗰個 deletion 嗰個啦。咁你齊 CLUD 咪唔使解釋咯，係咪啊 ？OK， 佢話如果你唔齊 CLUD 你就要解釋嘛。咁我頭先我嗰個 case 我 delete 咗個 deletion 嗰個 use case 咁咪冇咗啲啦。嗱，咁就要解釋點解啦，係咪啊？咁唔好搞咁多嘢啦，你哋就俾齊個 CLUD 佢就 OK 啦。Okay, so and lastly, okay, so make sure, okay, so there is no duplication, okay, so of the CLUD. Okay, so for ours, okay, so we usually won't consider it would be duplicate. Okay, so however, okay, so if there are okay more than one C, okay, create. Okay, so there should be one the register reader use case would create reader. Okay, so there should not be other use case. Okay, so during the same task. Okay, during the same creation. Okay, so that if there is a duplication, okay, so of the CLUD operation, okay, so you have to justify. Okay. So any questions so far for the tasks to be done today? The task to be done today, the submission. Okay, so you may simply add a table. Okay, so in your learning journal. Okay, so and then you have no need to do the reflection. Okay, so according to the requirement here. So for the submission, okay, so you may simply submit a table, okay, a CRUD matrix. Okay. So I think the tasks to be done today is relatively simple. Okay, so I think many of you can finish it before. Okay, so could finish it earlier. Okay, so if this is the case, you can actually leave earlier. Okay, so after completing the tasks. 有冇問題想問啊？想知啊？今日嗰個 exercise 做啲乜嘢嘢？嗱，咁其實嘅 exercise 就相對簡單啦，你只要整翻一個 CRUD 嘅 matrix 啦，透過嗰個 matrix 你去做翻個 CRUD 嘅 analysis， 咁啊睇下裏邊有邊啲 CRUD 嘅 operation 係漏咗 ，OK， 或者又係你就要加翻嗰啲相對嘅一啲嘅 use cases 上去啦，令到嗰啲 CRUD 係 complete 啦。OK， 嗱唔 complete 就要解釋啦，咁所以你就要 complete 咗佢啦。嗱，咁就睇下有咩好 check 下有冇啲嘅 duplication 啦，係咪？譬如有兩個 create 咁唔合理㗎嘛，唔應該有兩個 create 㗎嘛，咁你咪睇下咩問題咯，跟住去改翻佢啦。嗱，咁執好晒之後咧，就擺翻落去個 learning journal 個 template 上邊。咁其實你 append 翻你之前嗰啲 learning journal 都 OK 啦，係咪？跟住就可以基本上交得㗎啦，得唔得？有冇其他問題想問啊？嗱，咁如果冇乜特別問題咧，就我同你哋分翻個 breakout room 啦。So if you have no further question, then I would like to set up the breakout rooms for you.嗱，留意下我哋嗰個上邊嗰啲 column 咧，上邊嗰啲係 class 嚟嘅，係喺個 class diagram extract 出嚟嘅。嗱，我之前上嗰幾堂咧，我發覺原來真係有同學係未學過 Java 啊，未學過 OO 嘅。嗱，咁就有少少拗教嘅。如果你冇嗰啲 concept 嘅話，咁你可以問翻你嗰啲 peer teammate 啦。我諗唔會咁好彩，成組都未學過啩，係咪？咁如果真係即係好唔熟 OO 嘅話咧，咁可能真係都要自己去睇一睇究竟 OO 嘅 concept 係點樣樣啦，係咪？咁全部嘢都係 object 啦，簡單講係咪？全部嘢都係 object 啊，全部嘢都係名詞。咁你揾喺你嗰個 scenario 裏邊，或者喺個 user story 裏邊見到嘅嘢咧，見到嗰啲名詞咧，嗱理論上都可以係一啲 object。OK， 只不過你嗰啲 object 係大係細啦，係咪啊？如果係細嘅 object， 你咪當係一啲 object 裏邊嘅 attributes 咯，咁樣。嗱，呢個唔多講啦，我費事我越講你哋越亂啊。咁就如果真係好唔熟嘅話咧，自己去睇下一啲 online 嘅 resources 啦，其實都唔係好難理解嘅。OK， 嗱，咁我而家開咗個 breakout room 俾大家噶啦，咁大家可以自己揾間房入咗去先。嗱，咁我幾分鐘之後咧就會同大家未入房嗰啲咧就幫你哋assign啦，根據你個組名。OK。